Egypt is one of the greatest ancient civilizations on this planet. Egypt is well known for its pyramids, mummies, and the mighty river Nile. But it is much more than that. It has a rich history that goes thousands of years back. Its culture, its cuisine, its link, to the ancient Silk Road, and even connection to Christianity makes it a fascinating place to visit and explore. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of our trip highlights, right? There's a lot to see and there's a lot to digest. So stay with me until the end of this video. Enjoy. We started our trip in Cairo and we followed the Nile River route, visiting numerous ancient sites on both sides of the River Nile. In Cairo, we stayed at the Ramses Hilton, and our room had a great view of the river and city. The Egyptian Museum, Cairo Tower, and the famous Tahrir Square in the heart of Cairo are all within walking distance of the hotel. Cairo is called the City of 1,000 Minarets. Everywhere you can find the glory of Islamic architecture. Islam is the official religion of Egypt. Close to 90% of the population are Muslims. Around 10% of the population are Christians. Within Christianity itself, 90% of the Christians are Coptic Christians, followed by other Christian denominations. Egypt's capital, Cairo, is a bustling city of around 22 million population, making it the third biggest and second most crowded city in Africa. The pyramids, the world-famous ancient structure is in Cairo, the only city that still has a remaining ancient wonder of the world. Due to the large population, Cairo's roads are always clogged with vehicles. According to a study, Cairo is the fourth worst city in the world for traffic congestion, following Pune in India. Similar to India, traffic rules are largely disregarded with endless honking. Ancient Egypt is a land of mysteries, whether because of its enormous temples or its ancient religion. There are numerous theories about how and when the seven wonders of the world, the pyramids, were constructed. I couldn't say whether there is some other structure on this planet that has produced such countless speculations on how or when it was built. It is possible to go inside the Great Pyramid for an extra fee. And going inside the Great Pyramid was an experience unlike anything else in the world. To go inside the pyramid, one should climb steep wooden ramps with slats, hunch and crawl through narrow passages, until you finally reach the empty granite sarcophagus inside the king's chamber. Most archaeologists agree that the pyramids date back 4,500 years. On the other hand, some scholars claim that the pyramids date back more than 11,000 years. There are a lot of different theories about who built the pyramids in Egypt, some of which include large teams of slaves and even wilder ideas like people who lived in the lost city of Atlantis or even aliens. There is even a school of thought that the pyramids were constructed by the biblical Enoch hundreds of years before the great flood that happened during Noah's time. We are in Abu Saga Church. The Bible describes the story of Joseph and Mary's journey to Egypt with infant Jesus to escape from King Herod. In Egypt, they sought refuge in a cave, and it is believed that this church was built on the very divine spot. The Egyptian Museum was founded in 1901 and is currently the largest museum in Africa. It houses the world's largest collection of Egyptian antiquities, which date from 5500 BC to 364 AD. During the 2011 Egyptian Revolution, the museum gained notoriety for a variety of reasons. The pharaoh Tutankhamun's treasure, which includes the 11-kilogram solid gold burial mask, is the museum's largest masterpiece. However, photography is not allowed inside the room to protect this one-of-a-kind artifact. At the exit gate of the museum, there is a store where you can buy good souvenirs at reasonable prices. Khan al-Khalili Market is one of the biggest tourist attractions in Cairo. This vibrant, open-air bazaar is a treasure trove of Egyptian culture, with bustling streets filled with local artisans and vendors. Here, you can pick up unique souvenirs or spices or perfumes, or simply soak up, the local atmosphere. The key thing to remember here, don't forget to haggle for the best bargains.
Egyptian cuisine is very vegetarian friendly. They have very popular dishes like falafels, kosheri, things like that. I am a vegetarian by choice and I love falafels. I tried falafels, in different parts of the world, especially Middle East, but I have to admit, this is something very different. And I also found out, why this is very different. So typically, falafels are made of grounded chickpeas. But in Egypt, they make falafel with fava beans, and that is what is giving that distinct taste. Yummy.
The Muhammad Ali Mosque was constructed in the 1800s in the Turkish style, with an open court and a prayer hall. The mosque alongside the citadel is the earliest landmark to be seen while moving towards the city from any direction. The mosque is also called the Alabaster Mosque due to the marble paneling on the interior and exterior walls. After touring the pyramids of Giza and Cairo, we took a flight to Aswan, famous for the dam, Nubian culture, and the famous temples. We also took the 3 nights cruise along the Nile River from Aswan to Luxor. Stay with me as the exciting part of the trip just started. The unfinished obelisk is a more than 3,500-year-old monument, and this obelisk helps us to understand how massive structures were built in ancient Egypt. The obelisk was carved directly out of bedrock by its creators. However, cracks in the granite caused the project to be abandoned, and hence now it is known as the unfinished obelisk. A felucca ride on a traditional Egyptian sailboat was relaxing, peaceful, and refreshing at the same time, and we all fully enjoyed the afternoon breeze. After our felucca ride, we boarded our cruise ship, Chateau Lafayette, our floating hotel on the Nile for the next 3 nights, and the ship served as a perfect retreat after our shore excursions. Thanks to the large windows in our cabin, we were able to enjoy the beauty of the Nile River from the comfort of our room also. The next day, early morning, we visited Abu Simbel by bus, which is 3 hours away from Aswan. Abu Simbel is a massive temple complex that was once threatened by the rising waters of the Nile River. The Lake Nasser, an artificial reservoir, was created after the construction of the high dam on the Nile River near Aswan. In a joint effort led by UNESCO, the temple complex was relocated block by block, piece by piece to its present location. There are primarily two temples at Abu Simbel site. The first big temple was dedicated to the gods Amun, Ra-Horakhti and Ptah, as well as to Ramesses II himself. The other small temple is the Temple of Hathor and Nefertari. The Philae temple is on the way back from Abu Simbel to Aswan. Similar to Abu Simbel, the temple complex was dismantled from its original location and moved to nearby Agilkia Island by UNESCO. The temple was built by the last dynasty of ancient Egypt and is named after Isis, the goddess of magic, birth and healing, as well as her husband Osiris and their son Horus. The temple is one of the last places where ancient Egyptian religion was practiced. The practice came to an end sometime in the 6th century AD when the temple was converted into a church. We can find Coptic Christian crosses carved into the walls of the temple, and it is believed that for many years Isis was worshipped in the temple side by side with Coptic Christianity. The temple of Kom Ombo was the first port of call after departure of the cruise from Aswan in the afternoon. The temple is unique for its dedication to two different gods, the crocodile-headed god Sobek and the falcon-headed god Horus. There is a circular well in the temple complex that was used as a nilometer, a tool that the ancient Egyptians used to measure the level of the water of the Nile. The Crocodile Museum is located next to the Kom Ombo temple, and its main exhibition hall displays mummified Nile crocodiles. The Nile cruise continued sailing towards Edfu overnight, and in the early morning, the cruise stopped in Edfu to visit the temple of god Horus. A popular way for the tourist to get from the cruise ship to the temple is by the traditional Egyptian horse carriage through the town center. It was only 6 o'clock in the morning, but look at the number of people in the temple at that time. The idea was to beat the crowd. Well, that didn't work. Temple of Horus is the most well-preserved temple in all of Egypt, since it was buried under the sands for hundreds of years until it was rediscovered in the 19th century. The temple is unique as it stands out as an incredible piece of art that combines both ancient Egyptian and ancient Greek style of architecture. After our visit to the Temple of Horus, our cruise ship sailed to Luxor to complete our cruise along the River Nile. This was the best part, where we got to spend some time at leisure to enjoy the fine views over the Nile Valley.
River Nile is the longest river in the world. There is some debate about this. Some scientists they argue that Amazon is the longest river. Amazon in South America, that's the longest river in the world. Regardless, Nile River for Egyptians, for both ancient as well as modern Egyptians, it's the lifeline. It's the main water source from irrigation as well as from a transportation perspective. A Nile River cruise is the best and popular way to see Egypt's ancient sites and monuments, as most of them are located directly on the banks of the river.
It was very interesting to see people trying to sell clothes and other goods from the small boats and to tourists on the deck 4 stories above. We passed by the Esna lock system, an engineering marvel where water level in the lock is adjusted to match the level of the upper and lower parts of the river. Our 3 nights cruise ended in Luxor in the afternoon. In Luxor, we stayed at Iber Hotel, a hotel that offered spectacular views of the river and the distant hills of Thebes from our room and the beautiful garden terrace. For those who are interested, they have a heated pool floating on the River Nile. I'm not a pool person though. Luxor was originally called Thebes in ancient Egypt. The Luxor temple is a mark of the ancient Egyptian civilization, strikingly graceful monument in the heart of modern Luxor. The temple of Luxor is different from other temples in Egypt though. The Luxor temple was not built in adoration to a god or to a god figure of the kings and pharaohs. Instead, Luxor temple was built in dedication to the rejuvenation of kingship.
These engravings you see depict the divine virgin birth story. The Annunciation, the virgin conception, birth, and the adoration of the baby. Story sounds familiar to you? Yes, it's the virgin birth story of Jesus Christ. But there is a problem though. This is not the story about Jesus, but Horus and his virgin mother Isis. There's more. This story predates Jesus by thousands and thousands of years.
Virgin birth stories are not unique to Egyptian religion or Christianity. Whether it's the story of Lord Krishna in India or the ancient Chinese, Aztecs, Romans or Greek, there is no shortage for virgin birth stories around the world. A hot air balloon flight in Luxor is worth the money spent. Well, one should wake up very early in the morning as all balloon rides take place just before sunrise. We had a beautiful view of the Hatshepsut temple and the Valley of the Queens from above. We even got a glimpse of the Valley of the Kings on the other side of the mountain. As we floated like a feather over the valley, seeing the sun rise in the east was a spectacular and mesmerizing experience. Temple of Hatshepsut was next. From the entrance, we could either walk or take the electric car to the base of the temple. Keep in mind, there is a small fee if you wish to take the electric car. The temple of Hatshepsut was commissioned by Queen Hatshepsut herself, one of the first female pharaohs in the history of ancient Egypt. The temple is magnificent with 3 levels and several small shrines that stands out for its elegance and wonder. According to ancient Egyptian historical records, her reign was one of the most prosperous and peaceful in Egypt's history, probably why the later pharaohs tried to erase her legacy and her name from the list of official Egyptian rulers. Call it male supremacy or jealousy or whatever.
The Valley of the Kings is where the pharaohs and the royal family members were laid to rest. This is not just the final resting place. These were gateways to afterlife or resurrection. Ancient Egyptians, they believed in resurrection. Resurrection is a very interesting concept. Different religions and cultures, across the globe believe in resurrection. The very foundation of Christianity is based on resurrection. As per faith, Jesus died on the cross and the 3rd day he rose from the dead. In Hinduism, resurrection is called samsara. Belief in the day of resurrection is very crucial for Muslims. They call it Al-Qiyamah. Perhaps humans learned about resurrection from the nature. The sun sets in the west, death, and rise in the east, birth. Seeds sprout life, and the moon dies, new moon, and is reborn later, full moon. To prepare for this afterlife, ancient Egyptians, they preserved the dead body through mummification process. They had marvelous decorated furniture tomb with everything they need in the afterlife. Now, when it comes to mummification, we know that Egyptians are well known for mummification, but the Chinese cultures in South America, say Incas, they all practiced mummification too.
One of Luxor's greatest temples is the Karnak Temple. The Karnak Temple complex consists of several temples, chapels, and other buildings in the form of a village. In Arabic, Karnak means fortified village. Karnak temple is considered as the largest temple complex ever constructed anywhere in the world. The temple of Karnak was believed to be the spot where creation began. Egyptians also believed it was a point of interaction between the god Amun-Ra and the Egyptians. Tourists are encouraged to make a circular walk around the scarab statue to achieve good luck and success in their lives. It is said that walking around the statue 3 times brings good fortune, as scarab is a good luck charm. What a way to finish our trip to Egypt with blessings from scarab for success and good luck. From Luxor, we flew straight to Cairo for our return flight to Toronto. Well, thanks for watching and for your patience. I hope you like this video. Please share the video with your friends and family, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay? Thank you.